Hello, everyone. Welcome. Don't mind me. We're just here to take care of Microsoft. Someone's gotta take care of their greed. Someone's gotta stop this insanity. So let's get to it. Let's steal Microsoft's heart, shan't we? Welcome. Today. Anyway, enough shenanigans. I just wanted to show that off. That was pretty nice. We're gonna get the actual world music for little Blanca going here for y'all. Anyway, welcome everyone. Hello. Today we're gonna be running around as everyone's favorite bumbling artist. So today we're gonna talk about this Microsoft buyout. So let's go. Don't mind those portals.
You're back.
Yes, I'm here for a cup of coffee, if you don't mind, my dear friend. Some coin, a little cup of tea, you know. Anyway, so I'm sure just about everyone, except for apparently Dan, about everyone has practically heard about this Microsoft buyout, which has gone pretty crazy, honestly. You know, it's gone pretty wacky. Oh, I can't move my hands here. Boo. I'm gonna have a little sit-down time. Oh well. So, Microsoft's, been buying a lot of companies and stuff, and it has been pretty concerning for some people. It hasn't been too concerning to me, because mostly what they bought were just a few small studios. I mean, every company is going to have exclusives. Exclusives are necessary, sadly, whether you like them or not, for a company to entice you to go for their product. It is the laziest way to do it. Admittedly. There are obviously other ways like Bell Service and things that can also entice people. But it is a way to get people to go to your service. So obviously needing exclusives, and Microsoft has been lacking in exclusives outside of Western interests, in my opinion. They have a number of exclusives, like Halo, they own Gears of War these days and that. So they do have exclusives. Everyone has exclusives, but most of those are deemed towards Western audiences, first-person gun, one-and-gun type audiences, more so than our type of player base and viewership here, as most of us are into Japanese stuff and that, which is something Microsoft has basically completely abandoned at this point. The last real attempts were Lost Odyssey and Blue Dragon, which were deemed mainly failures overall. While Blue Dragon did actually help increase the 360 sales, it was deemed a failure in its functionality of trying to get into more Japanese houses. So with the X and with the series so far, Microsoft has not had any real interest in trying to grow Japanese audience. Actually, it was commonly made fun of that the X was the worst selling Microsoft console in Japan, that the original Xbox outsold it. I don't know if that holds true now, but I remember there was like a whole joke about that at one point during last gen. So Microsoft has not been doing well in the Japanese market still, and there's something with Sony's anime-ish attitude, basically abandoning their viewership and audience, that I told, in my opinion, that Microsoft should pursue an opportunity to take... Japanese fans are pissed at Sony right now. But I digress into different topics. Back to the main thing with Activision. The thing with Activision is one of the companies that have gobbled many companies like EA has. Not as many as EA, because EA has a really tall amount of dead corpses when it comes to publishers they've aided. But Activision was definitely doing some of that. And them getting bought out is a little concerning, in fact, because of how much they actually had in their pocket. Now, Activision owns Call of Duty and they own Blizzard. Those are basically the two big things that Activision has. And as much as our audience, that we mock and make fun of Call of Duty all the time, we make fun of them all the time, let's be honest about, the sad truth is, in the Western audience, they make money. It makes money. How? I don't know. I get all my, like, I haven't gotten any recently because I hadn't done dumpster diving in quite a while. But when I was doing dumpster diving at GameStop, I got, like, all the PS3, 360, and a few even older ones, like some PS2 entries in there. Like, all from GameStop's dumpster for nothing. So, like, I don't know the big hype myself, but, you know. That's just me. You know, I'm more into RPGs. Nothing against anyone who likes first-person shooters. You know, I dabble in some. I find the ones that do odd things more interesting. I did like some Call of Duties, though. I liked it 3. Modern Warfare was probably the last, well, modern one that I actually liked. After that, it just started going downhill. And with all the microtransactions, loot boxes, and now NFTs going to be invading gaming, I have very less interest in any of that crap, honestly. And considering the last few Call of Duties, like, I think the newest one can't even be played offline without update, I believe, if I remember correctly. So, I mean, even less real interest in getting them for least expensive, maybe for a few dollars, but that's it. Just been me with first-person shooters. The bigger thing for me is Blizzard. Now, Blizzard, after Activision bought Blizzard, I basically, you know, Blizzard's dead. You know, they might have a few more years still, but it's going to go downhill, and it did. It exactly did. Many of the people got fired or paid to leave. There was the whole protest with China's little ordeal. I don't want to go into that too much. I'm pretty sure everyone's familiar with that whole thing. But, the big thing, I think, is the fact that there's just not really much of Blizzard left anymore. Blizzard is pretty much just gone. They're pretty much just all faded away into dust now, which is a real shame. Because, I mean, Blizzard, before Activision bought Blizzard, to me, Blizzard was like the last good Western company in the, like, AAA marketplace. Like, there wasn't really anything any good anymore in that sense. Like, it was just pretty bleh. And, you know, now they're collapsing around them with scandals and shit. They'll just, yeah, it's pretty much done. And ultimately, I think that's really what led to this whole sale, honestly. I mean, the CEO has a horrible reputation. He's considered one of the worst business people in gaming, in greed and money. He's like practically the symbol of it these days, which is kind of crazy considering that's what basically EA was for a very, very long time. Bobby has been like the very icon of fucking greed in the gaming industry for several years now. And, you know, there's sex scandals and shit with Blizzard employees and stuff, and horrible treatment of employees, how much money he gets, and like it's just all finally collapsed. And ultimately, I think the people who have the ownership of Activision looked at it and is like, yeah, this is going bad and south fast. I think we need a bail. And I mean, ultimately, what this deal comes down to is buying IPs. I mean, I'm pretty sure that Microsoft does not have a lot of intent to keep a lot of the higher-ups that are in Activision. Obviously, devs who want to stick around, they're probably going to keep them. But ultimately, like, CEOs and all the higher-up bigwig people, I'm pretty sure they're all being shit-canned, let go, golden parachuted, leaving on their own terms, whatever. I'm sure they're all going. Because, I mean, ultimately, with a lot of this drama and stuff, especially with the CEO, I don't see how they would stick around when they had all this shit happening under the leadership. So, they're likely all being shit-canned. So, overall, this big thing is mainly over the IPs and some of the devs, likely. But the IPs, I think, are the bigger thing. Now, it can be good in some ways, because I do feel like overall, there needs to be a better focus on some of the games they've been doing. Like, Blizzard games have just been going down the shithole. Like, Diablo 3, I will never stop talking about how I hate the direction the story went. Subjective. I know some people like it, so. Subjectively, I hate the way the story went into retcon hell. Like, look, one of the important things to understand about me, collision. One of the important things to understand about me is I understand sometimes retcons are necessary sometimes, but when it is such a shit stain kind of retcon that you have to basically change so much of of a previous story game or something, like, it just bothers me when it's such a radical, huge retcon. There's just so many retcons for Diablo 3 storyline, and it's just... ugh. But again, that's just me. The bigger problem, though, was the fact that it was so fucking piss poor easy. It was ridiculously fucking easy. The fact that it doesn't even give you all the difficulties at the start of the game, like, honestly, that there could have at least been justification not to complain that it's too easy. But it's still too easy on the max difficulty that it lets you pick. It's still too easy. After we beat the game, we actually found a difficulty that felt more like traditional Diablo, but you have to beat the game once to be able to even do it. And by that point, I don't really care anymore, because the experience was a watered-down trash heap to me. It was just visual flair, no potions or strategy, mortal millions of things, and basically be safe from just about it. Like, basically the boss is the only thing that ever killed us in the game. It was ridiculous. But I feel like the buyout could pose a usefulness in that direction. Like, that's what a lot of people said with the Bethesda buyout. That Microsoft buying it could be a regenerative action to fix the terrible messes that Bethesda have been making lately. And it could be good. Now, so far, we haven't seen a new Fallout or anything under Bethesda's umbrella yet. So we don't really know whether it's in the positive or negative in that sense yet. So there could be that possibility for some of the Blizzard, because we got a new Diablo game that's being developed, still hasn't came out yet. And then, of course, there's Overwatch 2, which, I don't know, maybe if it gets cheap, maybe I'll try it out, but I haven't been to Overwatch in ages after they basically ruined every single character I liked. Which is what I hate about Blizzard's PvP options in many of their games. You get comfortable, you like what you like, and then they fuck everything up, and then you either like the new changes or you hate them. That's sadly what happens with a lot of these player versus player games, sadly, these days, with the ability to update. I understand some things can be critical and shit, but yeah. So, there could be some good things coming out of this. Of course, the bigger concern is the fact of monopoly. You know, this is like, what, the 4th, 5th studio Microsoft has bought, and this one has, you know, a few other studios that it devoured, so it's devouring more studios when you look at the bigger picture on that. So, there is a concern of Microsoft monopolizing on some publishers and stuff. Monopoly laws have not really been enforced for quite a long time. Some people have screamed about them before, but so far nobody's really ever fucking actually addressed them. So I don't really think there's anything going to come of that. Am I concerned about them monopolizing the game industry? I mean, I can see a little bit of the argument. I mean, they have been devouring a lot of companies, but at the same time, most of them are just Western companies. You know, stuff in first person and stuff, not too many things of our curiosity, so they're not really dwelling into everything, but again, I can understand some concerns about it. Sadly, ultimately, whether you really think it's monopoly or not, I don't really think anything's gonna I don't think anything's gonna get done about it, which is the shame about it, but, well, what can you do? The world doesn't let him force anything these days anymore. But ultimately, I don't think Microsoft's buyouts are going to affect us much unless they start dabbing into Japanese companies, of course. Some people actually were surprised. Like, somebody said they were thinking, like, they would buy Sega or something, which I don't know if something like that would ever happen. I mean, like, I have encouraged Microsoft to look into trying to get some Japanese stuff on there, with Sony being very anti-Japanese right now. Like, to the point where you have to question whether they're being racist or not. Right, Shoujo? You think Sony's being racist? I don't know. Sometimes I wonder, you know. It has me a little concerned. I wouldn't necessarily say they're racist, but it is a little concerning, just a little bit, don't you think? Have some koi. But yeah, I don't think it'll be super bad for us for now until they start devouring Japanese companies, which who knows if that's in the cards. Like I said, Microsoft, after the 360 age, has literally done nothing to try and interest Japanese players in the X or the Series. They have just basically given up. So I don't know if they have any plans on continuing anything in that sense. It's hard to say. Let's go in Joko's room, eh? No Joko. It's just me little fox inside the attic. But the buyout was for a lot of money, though. I mean, it's outshined. Like, I remember when Microsoft bought Minecraft and that. Pretty big. And that actually leads us to another topic. Whether they're going to be making them exclusives. Now, Microsoft has been very odd the last generation, and likely is going to continue into this generation with exclusivities of titles. Minecraft continues to be made on other platforms. Several other games like, what was that, Lucky Fox or whatever that platformer was, that a lot of people were really hoping was going to be a console game and didn't end up being a console game. It really disappointed a lot of people. That got ported to the Switch. There was that one company that made that depressing Journey game. I can't remember what it was called. I got it on the PS4. They let that get published on PS4, even though they bought that studio. You know, there's a number of titles, and recently Phil Spencer said that at the moment at least, they have no plans of making Call of Duty exclusive to Xbox, and that they will fulfill any deals that Activision always had with Sony and other publishers. So, and of course, they don't really have much of a choice. If they break any contracts, they have to pay massive fines. So it's either, depending on the, you know, how much the fine is, you have to weigh, would we pay the fine to keep it exclusive or not? And the reason I think Microsoft is doing this with different titles, because, I mean, you know, they still have those exclusives. Halo and Gears of War are still PC Microsoft. You don't see those getting ported anywhere. And I think the big reason, like for Minecraft, I want to use as an example for this. I think the big reason is Microsoft realizes there's such a huge audience that wants to play the game, that limiting what platforms it's on will hinder tons of extra money they could get, versus encouraging people to buy an Xbox. I think they see more profits on making it available on more things versus making it exclusive. And I think that's the same mindset they're going to have with Call of Duty. Because obviously there's a lot of people freaking out like, oh no, Call of Duty is not going to be on everything else anymore. You know, it's just going to be on Xbox Net. They could do that. They haven't necessarily confirmed whether it's going to be all titles. They just said they don't have any plans to make it exclusive at the moment. But that could always change on a dime. And of course, that goes into what Microsoft's future business plans are. But we'll get into that. So, I think likely it's going to end up like Minecraft, where it's going to be multi-platformed, because the amount of people that will actually be buying it outweighs the fact of trying to encourage them to buy their console. And they're having more focus on the Game Pass over the console anyway. I mean, hell, the later half in life of the X, I mean, people who had the console basically felt like they were being ignored and that Microsoft was focusing on the PC end, which they have been doing a lot on the PC end quite lately. Obviously, they made the Series, the next Xbox, so they clearly still have an interest in doing consoles still, but I do feel, in my opinion, they are going to focus more on the Game Pass. Now, there are three basic pathways that people have on their opinion on what's going to happen with the Microsoft plan. So, I'm on the path that they're eventually going to turn the Game Pass into a kind of a Netflix kind of thing. You know, like a little collectible Jack. Jack Frost. But, I think it's going to go a very Netflix way eventually. Now, of course, they'll have to reshuffle how it works a little bit, because its current way it works might be kind of odd if they went just with the Game Pass entirely. Now, of course, the other two paths is they could eventually drop the console and focus on PC, and also kind of do the Game Pass on other console things. Like, basically have Game Pass only, have it on consoles, mobile, PC. PC only with access to some devices, and then you have what they're currently still doing, having PC, console, and possibly on some other devices. Those are basically the three paths that Microsoft has going from our current timeline right now. And I think eventually, if it continues to hold a very good value and continue buying, I think Microsoft will down the road eventually drop out of making their own consoles. I think they're going to go in a pathway of Sega where they just have their games on other shit. But it's going to be exclusive to the Game Pass. So, while you can play the Game Pass on other devices, you would have to subscribe to play the unique games of that, which will lead to a bumpy road with the more exclusivities they have, which is why I think they want to have more exclusivities on IPs in the future, because I think that's the end game. Not the current, but end game. Think ahead. Thinking of ahead. The Game Pass has been very profitable for Microsoft. They've been, that's supposedly where a lot of this money buying these devs come from. It's basically the Fortnite effect. They've just been getting a shit ton of money and just throwing it around buying shit. That's essentially what they've been doing. And of course, you got Epic that's been gobbling up a lot of shit too. So, there's been a lot of instances of devouring. Devour. But, I think overall, right now, it's not going to affect our general audience here, because, we like a lot of Japanese stuff, but if you have any interest in Western stuff or first-person shooters, I do think it will be concerning that you might have to see more Microsoft in your future, possibly. It is worrying for Sony. A lot of people have been dunking on Sony after this buyout. I don't think Sony's in any critical problem right now, because sadly, as much of us have been still saddened by Sony being very hateful towards us in the games that have literally made their fucking platform before they threw us all in a garbage can for California. They threw us in a fucking trash can. A lot of our games are still coming out on Sony. And, right now we have the Switch. Hopefully Nintendo's next console will be a little bit better, because obviously I think Nintendo is going to be the main focus for our general audience in the future, because Sony is just continuing being stupid. Unless they change their mind, which would be a very smart thing right now. Because, honestly, I do think this is very threatening for the direction Sony wants to go in. Because, Sony threw us in the garbage, as I just said, and they're wanting to focus more on the Western audience and the Chinese market. Bigger pools than Japan. They're wanting to focus more on that. Which is why they moved the headquarters to California. Nothing against Californians. You know what I mean. You know what I'm making fun of. In your heart. but move the HQ to the California and shit, and they're going to focus more on this, and they've been dunking, banning, censoring games and shit that made up their brand, their bread and butter. They dunked us, and now they're getting dunked on now. Because, obviously, Activision buying Call of Duty and shit, at any moment they could pull the rug and not have it be on Sony anymore, along with all of Blizzard's titles or anything. I mean, right now it's just their choice to have some of these titles be on other platforms. And they could yank and make them all exclusive at a moment's notice. Have them pulled from digital stores and everything if they wanted to. And I think that will be very bad for Sony, since they want to focus more on that audience. I mean, Call of Duty, the Xbox One was so bad at launch that Sony made a whole bunch of Call of Duty deals at the beginning of last console generation. Like, that's how bad Microsoft fucked up with the Xbox One's launch. It was so bad. Activision made fucking exclusive deals with Sony and the PS4's early life over the Xbox One until the Xbox One fucking strained up a lot more than what it was at its fucking launch. I mean, shit. And now it's just flipped. Now Microsoft literally owns them. What a shock. Holy crap. I mean, really. Never saw that coming, that's for sure. I never saw that coming. I did not mean to make that joke either, by the way. It's just like, oh, convenient joke. But, yeah. It's just, what the fuck? Sony. This is why I understand you can't completely focus on a niche. Like, to me, like, you have three general paths in this. You have your niche audience, the normies that make up, the big bucks if you can get all the normies to buy your stuff. And then you just got the, more casuals, not necessarily normies, but not necessarily the hardcore niche audience. So they're kind of interested in certain things. And I think a balance between those three tiers are very important to have a good livelihood. Focusing too much on your niche audience can have the negative effect of not making enough money, sadly, because obviously these companies need money to exist. I mean, different companies they'll care about their artistic direction and sensibilities and that, which is good. But ultimately, they do need to make profit to continue existing. So it is important to be able to target some other audiences as well. Try to bring in new, fresh blood because, well, the old blood dies out. It doesn't live forever. It doesn't live forever, so you can't always rely on it forever. You have to find ways to get new audience members to join in either the niche casual market. But of course, in the Western audience, the Western game industry, they're more focused on the casual. That's what happened with the Nintendo Switch, not the Nintendo Wii, not Switch. The Nintendo Wii tapped into the magical casual market, and they bought the living crap out of the consoles. And yet, so many game devs made one or two games and then fucking left it. Why? Because those casuals want the people to buy all the games. They bought the thing for Wii Sports, basically. And that's the iffy thing about casuals. That's what casuals are a dangerous thing. If you tap into them, cool, you made a lot of side money. But you shouldn't focus on them so much because you get what happened with the Nintendo Wii and the Nintendo Wii U. The Nintendo Wii itself sold bazillions because these not niche, but the casuals looked at Wii Sports like, oh, that's awesome, bowling, tennis, and all this cool shit and stuff, They're like, oh, this is awesome. And it was fun, don't get me wrong or anything, but I mean, aside from that, a few cheapo games, they want the general people going out spending $60 on every new release every week or something. They want that audience. They want that isn't how they were, and that hurt Nintendo when it came to other publishers. Because other publishers made a few titles and they're like, sold like crap. Sold horribly. Why? Because these people weren't going there to buy the $60 games. They're just like, this one's $5. I'll go with this one. And that's why shelfware was so popular on the Wii, because the casuals are looking usually for budget and cheap titles, not $60 experiences. Because they're just getting random shit. They don't know what the hell they're doing most of the time. And that led into Nintendo's bundle with the Nintendo Wii U, thinking that casual market was going to follow over. They were going to carry over all these people, and they didn't. They screwed over the hardcore niche audience with the Nintendo Wii. Many of them didn't like the Wii and the Force motion controls. They appreciated when they were options. They did not like when they were forced. So going into the Wii U, The casuals dropped out because they were either confused. Like, nobody, like, really has any hard evidence what happened with the Wii U. A lot of people like to quit, point out that casuals were confused whether it was an add-on, a whole new console, and that. I've heard that hundreds of times. I personally don't. Obviously, you know, I have a small pool of co-workers to talk to, but as far as I know, nobody was confused about it being an add-on that I'm aware of. That's not to say that wasn't the case, but whatever the point is, casuals didn't carry over. The money train stopped, and well, that obviously wasn't good for Nintendo. And that is the problem I feel Sony getting into, is they look at the casual money, like with Call of Duty titles and stuff, and it's like, you know, the niche Japanese shit, the scantily ass girls, the JRPGs, the strange, bizarre storyline stuff. I feel like we could get more money going after this instead. And like now, you know, they're getting bought out everywhere and shit. Like they're wanting out companies to get those West, like Japan, like not Japan. Sony does not have a lot of quote-unquote Western stuff under the tree. You know, they got the Horizon Dawn. They basically got God of War, which both of those just went to PC for more money. And Killzone, the last Killzone game didn't do very well, so I don't know if they'll bring Killzone back again. I don't think I've heard a single thing about a new Killzone game, so what the hell is Sony doing? Huh? What? And, you know, they shat on their niche audience, us, the hardcore people that buy stuff newish, buy it close to its full price and stuff. You know, they shat on that audience, so what are they going to do? Come crawling back? Oh, we're so sorry. We made terrible mistakes. Please forgive us. I don't know what Sony's going to do, but I'm kind of fearful. And the direction they're going is going to have a Nintendo Wii effect eventually. I don't know if the PS5 will have it. On their defense, the DRM-ness of the Xbox consoles are helping them in that sense, because there has been a surprising rise of people being interested in the topic of ownership in DRM, very interestingly enough, which is good, honestly. Like, I'm actually happy to see a younger generation actually understanding and being concerned about that matter. That's actually very shocking in this age of companies fucking the consumer, honestly. So I'm actually very happy about that sense. So, and that's probably one of the things that's going to help the PS5 more. But when it comes to the series and PS5, I've always said multiple times, right now, there was nothing interesting enough to me currently. Not enough. Let's have the TV in the background now. Yeah. There's nothing interesting enough to me on the two consoles right now, so I don't really have a comment to really say which one's succeeding or not. As far as I know, they're both doing well with scalpels. That's the thing I don't get. I don't know. Outside, Pixie's the only person I know online that has a PS5. And I literally know nobody in person that has a PS5. So, I don't know who the hell is buying all these fucking consoles and storing in some warehouse, but, you know, the PS5 is supposed to be the best-selling Sony console that nobody owns, apparently. Oh, Lord. Console sales are going to look so weird at the end of this generation because of this shit. It really is. Hopefully there'll be a flood of cheap PS5s on eBay, maybe, if I'm lucky because of this shit, though. But, yeah, I don't have really any interest in either of the two, so I don't know if this Nintendo Wii U effect that I think may happen with Sony will happen this generation or next generation, but I feel like if these buyouts and that come a bigger problem, Sony will, if they're gonna double down on the business strategy they're going, they need to look into more talent for games, because the publishers are vanishing. Call of Duty could literally be pulled outside under the rug for them. It could just be gone the next day, so they can't rely on it. Right now, they can be glad that they'll get some of them, but they have to look at the long road. They can't sit there and be like, we can rely on these people. No, they're in your competition's hands. They can literally pull it at any moment that they want to. So you gotta keep that in mind, because any day you could not have it on your console. Could be the next Call of Duty. Could be 5 Call of Duties down the road. Who knows? But they if they're gonna continue down this focus on Western and Chinese audience, they have to figure out some stuff for their fucking console. Because if they're gonna ditch anime and JRPGs, I mean, what are they gonna do then? Because most of that audience, I think, is gonna follow Nintendo. Now the Switch, at this point, the Switch is nearing its end life. It's having trouble keeping up with games, and outside of indie games, AAA games are having a harder time running on them. Look at the Kingdom Hearts games. They're going to be cloud-based games. They're not going to exist physically or even downloadably. You have to play them on the internet. So I feel like the next Nintendo console, hopefully as long as it's pretty decent, will likely be the next road that most of our general gaming audience will follow, because, well, to be fair, a lot of us are pissed at Sony. And yeah, I still play my PS4, but I said that's a mixed case because, it happened like midway into the life of the PS4. So it's kind of hard to damn devs that for the problems that happened in the midlife of the console. Now, obviously, with the PS5, we already know we're going into this shit with it. So if Nintendo gets the next console out here soon, hopefully, we don't have to worry about the PS5 too much. It's kind of sad to me because I spent a lot of time playing Sony consoles. Some people dare call me a Sony fanboy, which, I mean, I do kind of understand the fact that, I've had a PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4. Some of my favorite games on some of them. I mean, I have favorite games on other things. I mean, Final Fantasy IV was a Super Nintendo game, But I mean, like, there was a lot of memorable games, and I grew up a lot of my young teenager life with Sony into adulthood. So I have a lot of memories with Sony stuff. But I mean, I could make a whole rant about stupid shit Sony's done in the past, with selling PSP titles, or even PS2 2D titles. Well, hell, that was even on the PS1. You know what I'm talking about, walking designed fanboys. You know what I'm talking about. But, yeah. I think the buyout overall is a bit concerning for Sony because of how they're wanting to focus their business. As an overall game industry, maybe a little. I don't think it's necessarily the end of the world. Like, some people are like, oh, Sony's fucked. They're going to go down the shitter and stuff. I think that's outblown. Because, like I said, even though Sony hates us, they're still profiting off a lot of Japanese games. Some people still view the Sony console the place to go for that. And kind of mixed on that. Some titles don't get any censorship. Some do. And for me, it kind of depends on what's getting censored. I'm not going to cry millions of tears for a little teeny little thing. But overall, I do try to avoid buying any censored games on the PS4 as long as they run decently on something else. I do try to do that because at this point, I don't want to encourage that. Like I said, when they first did all this policy shit, I didn't want to blame devs just because they got their hand fucking whipped around their back and Sony basically shoved a stick up where the sun don't shine. It wasn't their fault. So, it's shaky territory. But I'm not really wanting to get a PS5. I'm really wanting to avoid it if I can. Demon's Souls is literally the only thing of real interest on the damn thing right now. So I'm hoping the next Nintendo console will come out and hopefully can pretty much avoid needing to get it, at least in a full price sense. Maybe I'll get like the Xbox X, where I was able to get $400 off Dan. Maybe he'll find a PS5 for $5 at a thrift place. What a bargain. At least he's having better luck on that than I am. But, yeah, overall, I don't think it's going to be the end of the world. It can be a little concerning, especially if Microsoft continues to gobble more, and especially if they start dabbling in Japanese buyouts. I mean, I do agree they need to get some Japanese stuff on a console, which, same problem with Sony. Microsoft's been passing up on shit like that. Like the Gun-Gao game, that was going to come out on Xbox, and apparently, didn't mean to grab my camera. Apparently, Xbox said, "Oh, we need you to make a few changes," and they were like, "No, we are not making changes. I did not mean to be in that bag. We're not changing this. We're not changing." And I commend the publisher and the devs on with that decision to just be like, "No, we're not going to." Because I mean, that's the thing I think a lot of these devs need to do. They need to take their foot, and stomp it down. They need to be like, "No, I want my vision of my game to be how it is. We are adults. They're all adults. And if adults are worried about children, then they need to, I don't know, take care of their children. Watch their children. Maybe, I don't know, don't let them to go Greg's house and play mature titles because their parents don't care about it." Like, I don't know what these people in that kind of category want. Like, I can't control someone else's child. Like, raise your children. Do you know, like, when you have a child, when you're a parent, you know, that's responsibilities that you're supposed to be doing. Not the rest of the world. Okay? Like, don't buy them shit or let them do stuff without supervision. I know. Crazy concept, right? Absolutely insane. Crazy. But, yeah. I commend them for standing and just be like, fine. No Xbox version. Sad for anyone who wanted to get it on Xbox. But yeah, when that happened, I was kind of like, oh, well. So much for my advice with Microsoft to take advantage of the great Japanese game purge on Sony consoles. Because honestly, I really feel like I can't guarantee it'll work, but it's a good opportunity to get your foot in the door. Because a lot of Japanese players are mad at Sony. You know, one of the reasons Sony was really popular in Japan, look, now I know this might sound just a little bit iffy, but Japan is very, how should I say, supportive of its country. You know, like how you got stuff made in America and people like, I want to buy that because it was made in America. Kind of have that same sentiment, but way hardcore in Japan. So, you know, that's one reason, like, the Sony platform did so well. And they abandoned them. They went, bye, suckers, we're going to California. Fuck you. And, yeah, a lot of Japanese people pissed about that. You know, it's like you just used us, threw us aside. Shut down all your fucking Japanese studios except for that one company that made that Sackboy platformer game. Like, out of that, they're all gone. They're gone. People who made, like, What Did I Do? Deserve This, My Lord, Tokyo Jungle. Like, fuck, I would love to see a sequel to Tokyo Jungle. That was a good game. Good game. Why that didn't get a sequel, I have no idea. That deserved a sequel. That was a really fun game. It really was. It also became really expensive when they announced they were going to shut down the PS3 store, and then people bought up all the copies, and they're like, yep, $200, please. I think the price went back down, though. So if I was you, though, I'd buy that, because you could see people anticipating when that becomes the only way to play that game. Just FYI. Fun game, though. But yeah, all the studios are gone and shit, so I just feel like it's a missed opportunity for Microsoft, even with this buying out shit. Like, I wouldn't necessarily want them to buy out any Japanese devs, but I mean, at least that would be trying to aim for a marketplace you have virtually no real audience in out of shmup games. Are shmup games still being made on Xbox? I mean, that was a thing during the 360. That was basically the only thing keeping them with a Japanese audience, Willie. I don't know if that was a thing during the X and with series right now. I don't know if that's a thing going on in that sense, but honestly, I just feel like they're missing a huge opportunity to tap into Japan right now. I mean, I understand they had 2 big wheel push attempts to try and get a Japanese audience, once with the original and once with the 360. I understand they kind of got borne out on that, but I just, come on. Sony is fucking pushing out their niche audience. This is just a good opportunity to try and get some of them, in my opinion. I just feel like it's a big wasted opportunity. But not that I necessarily want them, like I said. Guys, I'm not liking how the consoles are going in the direction. But that's a different topic. Point is, I'm just talking about in a business sense. I just feel like they're missing a very good opportunity to get a little extra audience in that, but still business, wait. But yeah, the Activision buyout thing, it's going to be weird. I mean, we only title that, as far as I know, we know that is not going to be exclusive that they talked about was Call of Duty currently. So, and to be honest, that, like I said, that's not too shocking to me. I think that's likely going to be how Call of Duty is. I think they're looking more forward to having Blizzard's titles be exclusives. But we don't know yet. Which, I don't know if it'll be a real shame with the next Diablo. I mean, if they actually make it good, it'll be a shame. I wasn't impressed with 3. So, I mean, if they make it really good, then I'll be pretty sad about it. But, the Western game industry is a mess to me. It's continuing to be a monopoly mess, and with NFTs and loot boxes continuing to be a problem, and NFTs walking in to be the next. I don't really think I honestly, outside of indie games, I feel like the AAA market in the West is just fucking tumbling down to me. I know I've been saying it for years, but it just keeps getting worse and worse, and I just feel like it's just getting ready to finally be over with for me. I just don't know what's going on anymore. I need a drink. Yeah. Boy. But those are my thoughts overall on the Activision Blizzard thing, how they'll affect the big 3 console-wise, and, bumped into... Yeah, if I bump into the stuff, it sometimes causes the avatar to mess up a little. It's kind of weird. But, those are my thoughts mainly on the whole Activision buyout. It was a lot of money, so I imagine Microsoft has plans. I mean, almost, it wasn't 70 billion, it was almost, I think it was 68. So it was pretty close. But yeah, that's a lot of fucking money, so I don't see them not having something planned. I mean, that's a lot of money they have to make up, so they have to obviously have plans on making that money back up. In some kind of whether it be long-term or short-term or whatever term, there has to be something they're looking at to recoup that lost money. They couldn't have just bought for laughs and giggles. That's a lot. Like, that's more than what they fucking... What was Minecraft? Like, 2 billion? People lost their mind when that happened. Good lord. And, you know, Minecraft just prints fucking money still. So. But, yeah, that's generally what I think. So, I would greatly... If you have any of your own thoughts or comments on anything I said, feel free to leave a comment down below. I'd love to have a discussion about this because, you know, while our audience is likely not going to be affected too much with the Activision buyout, I mean, most of us, the bigger deal I would see is with Blizzard's properties than Activision's properties. I don't think anyone us are crying over Candy Crush. Yeah, you probably forgot Activision owns Candy Crush. You might have forgotten that. Just, I don't think you're crying about it, though. Probably the only thing I really care anymore, probably like Diablo, maybe. I was kind of hoping maybe, because I'm certainly not the only one to complain that Diablo 3 was a piss-easy game or have problems with the story. Certainly not the first, certainly not the last. But, you know, I kind of hold hope maybe they'd take some of the criticism, make full at least a better game. The story's probably lost cause, but at least, like I said, if the game was enjoyable, like, I had no desire to replay Diablo 3 at all. No desire at all. I replayed Diablo 1 and 2 hella much. I loved playing those over and over. Way too much to count. I have no idea how much fucking time I even remotely put in those. Diablo 3, zippo fucking interest. So, wasn't good in my book. I mean, it was a game. It wasn't like Fallout 76, but fuck. But anyway, I'm dwelling and blabbing on as I usually do. Leave a comment down below on anything I discussed. What do you think Microsoft's ultimate plan and their business strategy? Do you feel like it's going to be a big threat to Nintendo and Sony? Do you feel like it'll be good, bad for the industry? What do you think? I'd love to hear it because, well, there's a lot of opinions and ultimately, nobody really knows what the end game for Microsoft is. We can only wait and see. But thank you for joining me today. Thank you for joining today. I hope everyone has a delightful day. Until next time at the Proving Grounds, don't forget to have some koi. It's good stuff, you know. Futaba brand. Take it easy.